You know when you look around the house and you're like, this house could certainly use some lovin', that this house could certainly use a mother's touch. I'm pairing that with nesting mode. And so I have just a plethora of random things that aren't necessarily that needed for me to do before this baby is born, but in my mind certainly feels like an absolute necessity. So I thought I would kind of walk you through a couple of things that I'm doing to prepare for baby, some weird nesting things that I'm doing, and take you along for the ride. So for this baby, we have decided to actually use our UPPAbaby Vista car seat. Now, for my last two babies, we've used the Duna, which, if you aren't familiar with, it's a car seat that already has wheels attached to it, and so it easily becomes a stroller, which is so great. It's very convenient, but it doesn't always work for every season. And for the season that we are about to walk in, we are about to have 2 under 2. They are going to be under 16 months apart. And so that's a really tight age gap. And I remember when we had our first set of 16-month apart babies, the UPPAbaby stroller is what saved us. I used this so much. I used it multiple times a day. And the reason for that is because when you have so many littles so close together, generally, like right now, the biggest thing that we are working on with our toddler, our 16 or 15-month-old, is teaching and training walking in public, not running across the street, walking with mommy and holding mommy's hand. There's just like a bunch of little things that we're currently actively working on. And so these are all great things, but I do not trust my ability or my toddler's ability to comply and listen 100% of the time. And so strollers and strollering the baby, a toddler, because he's currently my baby, but he's a toddler now, and I'm so sad about that, but I keep referencing as the wrong thing, but my toddler, strollering a toddler in the midst of having a newborn and other littles to care for, I feel like is just so wise. And so we've decided we are going to use the UPPAbaby Vista. We're going to do the toddler on the bottom, the baby on the top, with the attachment that comes with it that you're able to put in the car seat. So this is what I think will be like my daily driver. This is what I think I will do anytime I go out with the kids, anytime I'm taking to the park, anytime I'm taking them literally anywhere. This is what I see me using and needing, because then that way I'm able to carry two. My hesitation with using the Duna for this baby was like, I felt like I was going to have to take the baby out of the car seat, because if I wasn't going to have the baby in the stroller, I was going to carry the baby. And then if I'm carrying the baby, then I'm going to want to stroller my toddler. So I was like, wait, I feel like that's not really helpful. And so I think this is the best case scenario. And it gives me the option to possibly just, if I need to, make it into a single and just use it as a stroller for my toddler and then wear my baby if I want to, which I feel like I wear the baby pretty much all the time for the first at least 3 to 4 months, because they're so tiny and it's just so much easier that way. But this is kind of what's going through my head. So I'm giving this guy a huge deep clean. I've like completely broken it down to the skeleton. I have all of the pieces washing in the washing machine. I did 2 cycles actually, because I found that it just really needed some loving. And then I'm putting it out in the sun. I feel like that's just like the best thing to do. Now, I am washing the wheels and all of that. You don't necessarily need to do that, of course, but I feel like once a year at least, it's just good to give all of these things just a good scrubbing. I actually did car seats already. I did car seats probably like a month ago. And that felt so good because those things were so stinky and so gunky. I actually had been filming some of the nesting stuff I was doing, but I ended up just putting what I did in this day in it. But I've been nesting it feels like ever since I've been pregnant. And if any of you are in your first trimester and you're like, I have so much to do, like, I don't I don't even know where to start. The Lord will give you grace, because in my first trimester, I was so sick and it was just so awful. So what I did during that time is make a list of things I desired to get done. And then I waited until I was in the blissful second trimester with more energy to start getting those things done. And then you get into this like beast nesting mode in your third trimester, where it feels like you can mop your walls and do all these crazy things that you usually normally wouldn't do. But I feel like it is just God's design and creation to like have women feel the need to clean and get everything ready for baby, because it's so motivating, and then you have a bunch of energy and you just get so many little things done. So I don't think it is at all an accident. Nothing about pregnancy feels like an accident. I have frequent wake ups throughout the night to just use the restroom, and I truly think that is God's design to get us accustomed to waking up more frequently, because when you have a newborn, you're going to be waking up more frequently. And so it's not like you went from sleeping 8 blissful straight hours to suddenly having to wake up every hour to 2 hours with a newborn. Like, it has been like this gradual dying to yourself the entire pregnancy, whether it's from the way that you're sleeping, from the way that your body looks, the way that you're feeling. I feel like every part of pregnancy is like a slow transition into what it's going to be like taking care of the baby outside of the womb. And I think it's really beautiful and it's really encouraging. Anyway, we have started to homeschool already. We homeschool throughout the year. And so we start our like 2025 in June as opposed to August or September. And we've always done this, but I'm like really making sure we're doing this because I'm having a baby later on into the summer. And so I wanted to make sure that I had my kids already started and established in their routines. But I kind of failed to like get the homeschool room. Like, we never really took a break, and so I never had a chance to really like get the whole homeschool room in order. And so that was like a huge thing that I wanted to do, was resharpen pencils, clean things up a little bit, because this room is just really well loved, which is so great. It's why we have this room, but it certainly needs a mother's touch. It is mainly my kids' job and responsibility to keep this space up. But we do a lot of clay, we do a lot of Play-Doh, a lot of painting. And so there was just like layers upon layers of that on the tables. And so I was just using my bench scraper and literally just scraping some of that stuff off to make the table smooth again. This is an antique table that I got off of Facebook Market. I love this table so much. It has so much character, so many, like, you can just tell this table has been loved for years, and my children certainly take their time to love on this table too. But as you're going through your nesting mode, I feel like writing things down and making a list is so helpful, and making that list based off of like what truly needs to be done before baby is born versus like the things that would just be nice for them to be born. Because if you do end up having your baby early, and then maybe not even early, maybe around like that 38 week mark, 37 week mark, 39, before that 40 week, at least you have things done that you desired, and then you don't even have to worry about the rest of this stuff. So I feel like with nesting and these kinds of things, it's a tricky line to like not start too early, because then you'll end up having to do it again. So like one of the things I ended up doing again today, which I actually didn't end up filming any of it, but I went through with 2 bags in each room. 1 bag was a donation bag, 1 was a trash bag. And I essentially walked into every single room and threw any random trash away, and then made a huge pile of donations. Now, I had decluttered my home. I did a video on it. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 months ago. But I did declutter it already. But because I did it so early on, it just needed to be done again. And let me just tell you, as I'm filming this, it's the next day after doing that. I feel so good today, and my mind feels so clear, and I feel like the home is so much easier to manage. I feel like we constantly have to ask ourselves the question of, how can I simplify my life? Because you're about to enter into a season where you want to give yourself grace to rest and not be a slave to the home. But if you have other kids and a home to care for, the reality is, like, you still have to care for them and you still have to care for your home. And so how can we give ourselves that grace? And for me, it was minimizing things, not having as many things to put into place, not having so many things to worry about, setting a good baseline so managing it day to day feels manageable and not like this giant task. Anytime I find myself spending too much time taking care of the home, that's when I know I have too many things. And it's usually where we have to just reevaluate. We've had a lot of birthdays or lots of play dates, or like just life happens. And so just spending a day, and I feel like I try to do a day like this at least once a month, where it's like, we just need to love on the house today. That's what we're going to do. It's going to feel great. It's going to be slow, lovely for everyone. And like, right now in this clip, I am cleaning and I'm going to wax the kids' play kitchen, which is totally unnecessary. My baby does not care that this kitchen is going to be waxed and resealed for this play kitchen. So again, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, let me reseal it now, because after this baby comes, I don't want to have to worry about resealing this. And then it's going to be winter soon, and then this wood can get really dry. And so I'd rather just care for it now, let it get more well loved, but at least like this is set and done. Nesting stuff doesn't always even necessarily pertain to the baby, and I feel like that's okay. If any of you have your kids at home right now, and usually they're off at school, I'm certain there are certain things that you're doing or not doing that you normally wouldn't do. And one of the things that I feel like moms especially should be doing right now is taking care of themselves mentally, whatever that looks like. For me, I feel like it is such a mental release to care for the home at this level. And for some of us, that is talking to someone else or seeking counsel and therapy. And I know you might think like, oh no, during the summertime, like I'm supposed to be taking a break. I'm not supposed to be doing that. But I highly suggest and advise that the summertime is a really good time to set new patterns and rhythms for yourself, because when the winter months come, it's so easy to get trapped into the sadness that comes with the winter time. And so being proactive and working on that during the summer, establishing these routines, is so wise. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this portion of today's video. I'll have a link to BetterHelp, a place where you can find a therapist online, and everything is virtual. And so if you are picky and you desire to find a therapist and take your time with this, it's so wise to start now, because you can fill out the questionnaire and get all these things filled out, but then actually going through and finding one can take some time. And I'll link a couple of questions that I personally have asked my therapists in the past to just really get a good idea of their theology and who they are and how our sessions are going to look, because I highly suggest it being just wisdom from scripture. And so you can request them to be Christian, you can request for them to be a female, you can request for them to be older, which I feel like are all really good things to hit. And then you can ask for them to use scripture as a way to reproof and correct you, and just use biblical encouragement. And so sometimes finding someone like that does take a little bit more time, but I think it's well worth it. I'm going to have a link down below if you want to get 10% off your first month. But I think using the summertime to establish these routines and find one so that as the year continues on, because we're literally almost halfway done through the year, which is so crazy. I haven't even made my New Year's resolutions yet. But if you establish this routine now, as the year picks up and as school starts and all those things start, you're already in this rhythm and routine, and it doesn't feel like you're just playing catch up and you're like, whoa, I could really use someone to talk to. So I'll have that linked down below for you guys. A couple of other things that I was doing is making note of what each space will be used for or not used for once this baby is born. So for example, I recently just put in a rocking chair in the playroom. I do this before I've done this for the last like 3 babies, because really quickly I learned that my other children want to be included, obviously, and I want to be with them. And so for me to like say, well, I'm gonna be in bed, y'all just go hang out by yourselves, like that doesn't work, especially with the age that my kids are at. But hanging out with them in the playroom while I nurse the baby or just sit with the baby makes us just feel like a whole family unit, versus me like going off and doing my own thing with the baby and they're just doing their own thing. And so just having the rocking chair in there allows me to nurse comfortably and do that, because I found myself like just wanting to nurse the baby wherever my kids were, and mainly they would be in the playroom, and I'm just like on the floor using my knee to prop up my baby to nurse. And it's like, okay, I certainly could make this a little bit more comfortable for myself. Now, I will warn you and say that your children will all try to pile up on top. So I used one of my like really, really large nursing chairs that we've actually had for 6 years now, over 6 years, because I got it when I was still pregnant with my first, but it has been around the block a couple of times. Some of my friends have borrowed it. It's got some stains, it's got some holes. It is just a well-loved rocking chair, but it's wide and I love it. I cannot wait. It's gonna be, I have these like feels right now because I just love the newborn stage. It is truly one of my favorite stages. Like when I think of welcoming another baby into our home and those like first couple of weeks of everyone adjusting and meeting the baby and learning the baby's name is just so precious. And I've just been praying and asking the Lord to just soften my heart and give me wisdom in this season, because I was telling Jordan this the other day, like going from after we added 3 and 4, it has really been a smooth transition, and I'm just praying that transition continues. But anyway, I'm going through each room, deep cleaning every random little nook and cranny, going through all the kids' clothes, their decor, every drawer, and this is just going to set up my time for rest after the baby comes, because it'll be easier to manage each room and each space. And then my kids can live life and we can all live life and enjoy it together postpartum. I'm going to link BetterHelp down below. Thank you for watching this video of me nesting. I'll see you guys next week. Be blessed.